everyone, and welcome to The Balancing Act. I'm Olga Villaverde.
And I'm Montel Williams. Today, we're talking health topics.
From the risk of breast cancer, it's more than family history,
to cervical cancer, what every single woman needs to know.
Then we're taking a field trip to my house, mi casa.
Oh, there you go.
That's
Come on
right.
now.
Mi casa es su casa. To learn more about how to keep your air pure.
And the Balancing Act starts right now.
That's right. One in 8 women will develop breast cancer over her lifetime, and most will have no significant family history of the disease. There are many factors that can impact your overall risk, and knowing them can help you make more informed decisions about screening and lifestyle choices. Here with more are OBGYN Dr. Joel Evans and gynecologic surgeon Dr. Carolyn Young. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So let's talk about what we're hearing today, because as a woman, you know, we're hearing a lot about the BRCA gene and how it could tell you if you're at an increased risk of developing breast cancer. So what else should we know about it?
Well, there's a lot out there about the BRCA gene. There are a lot of celebrities that are talking about them themselves having the BRCA gene.
They've actually put it right there.
Right, and it's a great name because BRCA really is short for breast cancer, so it's the breast cancer gene. But as much as we hear about it, what we don't hear about it is it's really not all that common. 85% of women with breast cancer don't have the BRCA gene.
Really?
Yes. Only about 1 in 4 or 500 women have the BRCA gene. And it's really responsible only for between 5 and 10% of breast cancers. And that's why it's important to look for other ways we can identify those 85% of women and find out who's at higher risk.
Since you just mentioned risk factors, let's talk about some of those.
So there are many risk factors for cancer that doctors are very well aware of. So age, menopausal status, being overweight, having inflammation in your body, elevated blood sugar, taking hormones, drinking alcohol, smoking.
What about dense breasts? Because I really have dense breasts.
That's such an important risk factor now. We used to think if you had dense breasts, you were more likely to get breast cancer because the mammograms couldn't view what was going on underneath the densities. But now we know that the breast tissue itself is metabolically distinct and behaves differently than breast tissue that's not dense. And it's those metabolic changes that lead to breast cancer.
Dr. Young, let me bring you in. You obviously see a lot of women of all ages. Tell me some misconceptions that are out there.
So some of the common misconceptions are that they're not at high risk individually because there's no family history, and that's just not true. And then the other misconception I hear about is, well, there's nothing I can do to decrease my risk, and that also is not true.
Dr. Evans, how can women learn about their risk?
They should see their doctor. There are many ways that doctors can look at breast cancer risk. However, I believe the best way to look at breast cancer risk is through the gene type collection kit.
This right here.
That test, because that test looks at over 300 genetic markers and combines the results of the genetic marker assessment with things like body weight, family history, menopausal status, and age in order to get a comprehensive answer for what's a woman's risk for breast cancer.
So when we get this score, Dr. Young, what is it going to tell me? I get the report. Is it convoluted? Is it easy?
It is very straightforward. There are 2 main scores. One is what is this individual's risk for developing breast cancer in the next 5 years, and a lifetime risk.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's so simple to do as well. Okay, and what action steps can one take based on your risk score when you get that? Because then I wonder, I get my score,
Yep.
You're telling me, okay, maybe I'm 5 years, then what?
There are definitely lifestyle modifications that can be recommended, additional screening such as breast MRI in addition to annual mammogram, and even risk-reducing medications that can be taken. And I just want to share my own personal story. So I'm 52. I have no family history of breast cancer. I decided to do gene type just to see what my markers, my DNA markers would show. And it actually shows that I have a 40% lifetime risk for breast cancer. So
Were you
definitely
surprised?
high. Very, yes. And so I have a breast MRI scheduled next week.
And thank you for sharing your story, because that's really important to know. You got your score, and now you're able to take an action step. So, doctor, how do you know if this test is right for you?
Well, if we think back to what we said about BRCA, which affects 1 in 400 women, then the 399 out of 400 women that don't have BRCA should take advantage of this test.
At the end of the day, another tool to help us. Thank you so much for the information.
You're so welcome.
Appreciate it. And of course, if you'd like more information about gene type for breast cancer, visit genetype.com or just go to our website, thebalancingact.com. We'll be right back. Ladies, I have a personal question for you. Do you know where your cervix is?
It's a pretty personal question, but it turns out to be very relevant.
That's right, because if you don't know where your cervix is, chances are you also don't know your cervical cancer risk.
So today, we're going to help increase your awareness of what cervical cancer really is and decrease some of the stigma behind cervical cancer.
First, meet a courageous mother and survivor. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Marilis Clavisha and I am 43 years old. I am an educator. I have a master's degree in education and I did various roles through my working years. My partner and I live in New Hampshire. We have 4 kids together. I have a daughter from a prior marriage and we have a son together, and I have 2 stepsons. And we are a non-traditional blended loving family.
But in 2019, Marilis received a shocking and devastating medical diagnosis.
In September 2019, I started feeling some symptoms that were not normal, and I talked to my primary care physician. I felt that there was something else going on and that I needed the second opinion. So I advocated for myself. Sometimes you have to do that and look for answers. And I did. I reached out to my gynecologist, oncologist, and they diagnosed me with metastatic cervical cancer. When I heard the news, the first thing that comes to your mind is, as a mother, is your children. And I said, I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna win this game. I started treatment and things got worse. I was not responding to the treatment. The cancer was advancing and it moved to 4 or 5 parts of my body, and my prognosis was about 18 months. It was very emotional.
But incredibly, Marilis refused to give up hope. She and her partner, Dan, began a desperate search for clinical trials and eventually found Dr. Marilyn Huang.
I first met Marilis when she had just been diagnosed with recurrent metastatic cervical cancer, which is very devastating because most women who are diagnosed with this disease have approximately less than 2 years to live. And so they were, as understandably, quite desperate and had been looking for other options for treatment.
Advocates like Marilis and Dr. Huang believe sharing the facts about cervical cancer and cervical cancer prevention is very important.
Cervical cancer arises from normal cells on the cervix that have changes that develop over time, first into precancerous or dysplastic cells, and then eventually into cancer. For most women, they're able to clear those abnormal cells on their own, but unfortunately for some women, like Marilis, their immune system is not able to, and it does progress to cancer.
Since most cervical cancers are caused by persistent infection with human papillomavirus, or HPV, and because almost all HPV transmission happens through sexual contact, cervical cancer as a whole has suffered from long-standing stigma and misunderstanding.
HPV virus is readily transmissible from any skin-to-skin contact, and there is a lot of stigma and misconceptions surrounding HPV and HPV vaccination, which is really unwarranted since anyone who has had any sexual encounter could be exposed to HPV.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, the HPV vaccine is the standard for prevention of cancers caused by HPV.
The HPV vaccine is a vaccine that helps prevent cancer causing infections in precancers, and it is incredibly effective. Currently, the HPV vaccine is recommended for both boys and girls as routine vaccination starting at the age of 11 to 12, although vaccination can start earlier. Vaccination is recommended for everyone through age 26. The vaccination is not recommended for everyone older than age 26. Some adults that are age 27 to 45 who have not already been vaccinated might be eligible to receive the HPV vaccine based on discussions with their doctor on risks and potential benefits.
According to cervical cancer experts like Dr. Huang, awareness of screening guidelines is also important.
So over the past few years, the screening guidelines for cervical cancer have changed based on the society or organization that are providing the recommendations. However, the American College of Gynecology endorses the following from the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force. All women aged 21 to 65 should have regular cervical cancer screenings, and recommendations differ based on age. Women 21 to 29 should have Pap tests every 3 years, and women 30 to 64 should have Pap tests and HPV tests every 5 years. For women that are older than 65, screening may not be required if all of their screenings previously were regularly performed and all results were normal.
Despite increasing awareness, the percentage of women in the United States who are overdue for their cervical cancer screening has been growing in recent years, which is why advocates like Dr. Huang and Marillis continue to speak out.
Hi, Marilys. How are you?
I'm good, Dr. Han. How are you? I think that women needs to be aware that this is a very deadly disease and that there is an option for a vaccination that they can take from a young age. We started our treatment. It was not easy. And after 6 months, I was on remission. I'm in remission since May 2020. I was flying for my treatment to a different state, and for me, being able to use telehealth and do some of my appointments online, it was a huge benefit. And it was very sad when I end the trial. I'm now kind of on my own, and I don't see Dr. Juan every 3 weeks. So I miss her. I miss seeing all my nurses and the staff. Since 2019, every year is a blessing, and I'm thankful for that. I thank God every day. I was able to see my daughter's engagement. I was able to be at her wedding and dance at her wedding all night long. I also saw my son confirmation, so it's been a blessing for me to being able to be here and be part of all of this.
Cervical cancer is a preventable disease, so it's really important to talk to your healthcare provider about your eligibility for the HPV vaccine, as well as the screening recommendations that would be right for you. The most rewarding part of my job is to get to spending some time with these amazing women, and they are true warriors.
We'd like to thank our two wonderful cervical cancer advocates, Marillis and Dr. Huang.
And for more information about cervical cancer screening and awareness, go to survivor.org. That's CERvivor.org, and the Foundation for Women's Cancer.org.
You can also go to our website, thebalancingact.com.
So ladies, do not forget to schedule your cervical cancer screening. We'll be back right after this.
Clean air was an obsession of mine when my girls were young. They were both asthmatic, so as you can imagine, I cleaned my house a lot. And add to that, My husband has allergies, and let me tell you, finding the right air purifier was always a challenge until today. Joining me from LG Electronics is George McQuilkin. Welcome to my house.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about clean air and the importance of it because of our health.
Yeah, the air we breathe is filled with tons of microallergens and particles that we can't even see with the naked eye.
And sometimes when you don't have good air quality, you get a lot of symptoms. I'm just going to name a couple that I know for sure. Headache, stuffy nose.
You're right, Olga. Ear, nose, and throat inflammation, emphysema. Airborne allergens can do a lot to your system.
And I read somewhere, George, the symptoms can be even more serious, more severe, cardiovascular disease,
liver disease,
bloodstream, spleen, reproductive organs. I mean, we're talking serious stuff.
You're absolutely right. On top of all those, bronchitis, but there's something we can do about it.
All right, George, so let's talk about this air purifier that I've been using in my house for a few weeks. Not only does it work, and we're going to talk about that, but my goodness, look how pretty it is. So attractive, and it's so quiet.
Yes, the LG PuriCare Aero Tower is one of the best in design. You don't sacrifice any type of performance when it comes to the air purification of your system. Sleek style design fits anywhere in your home. And gives you the performance that you need. I mean, most air towers are kind of bulky looking, right?
Unattractive. You see that,
yeah.
But yet everybody passes by and looks at it and kind of says, wow, that's really pretty. What is that? And I say, it's an air purifier. And they're like, no.
Yes, and you're not sacrificing power or performance.
And it's whisper
quiet.
Quiet.
Yes.
One thing I noticed, George, is how fresh my house smells after I cook. I'm a meal planner. So on the weekends, I'll maybe make some fish, I'll make a quiche, I'll make chicken to plan for the week. And in the morning, my husband and I always notice that the house smells. Because of the air purifier, nothing.
Well, you know, that's because of the UV nanofiltration. Now, do you know what that is?
No.
So with the power of UV nanolight and a 3-step HEPA filtration system, it really helps to get those particles out of the air. Keep in mind, we are asthma and allergy friendly, which is a big certification, and we're Energy Star efficient as well.
So talk to me about how it works. One thing I noticed is it does shift from left to right constantly.
Absolutely. Those are one of the different cycles, so you can oscillate it back and forth. You can have directional cycles as well, and you can see the air quality monitored right on the LCD display on the front.
And I do notice it says air quality good, which makes me happy, but then I'll start seeing moderate, not good.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously that's because I'm cooking or maybe we're doing something here, but then immediately within minutes, within a half an hour.
And that's the microbial sensor. You know, it picks up everything on a dime, so you get accurate readings, whether it's on your phone or the app or just using the controls on the top.
I don't live in a mansion, but how much space does it cover?
And you'd be surprised, 818 square feet. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
It is a game changer.
And would you say the best place is where I've put it, which is near the kitchen, dining room area?
Olga, you can put this pretty much anywhere in the home that's comfortable for you.
So I love how easy it is. Check. It's effective, check. And something else I noticed, George, it cools down my home, which is fantastic because it's hot here in South Florida.
Yeah, and that's really important. Speaking of cooling, you do have the 3 different fan modes that you can do omnidirectional, directional, and actually point it up to the ceiling. And it's all controlled through either your application, the smooth touch controls at the top, or you can actually use the remote control.
And you have about 10 speeds, right?
10 speeds, yes. And it's really a proven tool for creating a healthier household. Okay, so we've talked about all the great features in the PuriCare Aero Tower. What's your favorite method of controlling it?
Well, I do use this controller that you're holding, but I think the app is the best.
Well,
I mean, it shows me everything.
Yeah, the app really does get really in tune with your Aero Tower. So you can see different cycles, you can see your air quality. It'll even tell you when you need to change the filter.
And talk to me about this stuff up here as well.
So these are the smooth touch controls. Obviously, this is one method of controlling here. And I think it's just a really intuitive design.
And I also noticed that right now our air quality is?
It is good.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
And it's great to know that LG, when you think about it, you think of television company, but it's more than that. I mean, you guys have a lot of award-winning products.
That's correct, Olga. We do a lot of different things. So we make vacuums. The A9 vacuum is a great vacuum for the home. You know, our Aero Tower is obviously best in class. And of course, we do appliances as well.
And for anyone buying a new home, maybe getting ready for a baby that's coming in the nursery, this is a great gift idea.
It's a perfect addition to the home all year, and not just for allergy sufferers.
It's really for everyone.
It is for everyone.
Well, I love my air purifier, so for our viewers who would love to get one, where can they go, George?
They can simply go to lg.com or download the ThinQ app for more extensive information on how to use those appliances or govern your home.
Great stuff. Thanks for coming to my house.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And if you'd like more information, just go to our website, thebalancingAct.com.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Remember to head to our Facebook page, like us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and visit thebalancingact.com to enter our latest sweepstake or giveaway.
And I say it every time because you might just win something. Be safe, love and family of yours, and we'll see you next time.